On April 14, 2013, Frederick Pierucci's life was forever changed. He was an executive of Alstom, a French power and transportation conglomerate with a happy family and promising future. On that day, he was arrested by the FBI when his plane landed at the John F. Kennedy International Airport for his alleged role in a 2003 to 2004 corruption case involving Alstom in Indonesia. 5 years later, on December 1, 2018, Meng Wanzhou, CFO of Huawei, China's telecom giant, was arrested in Vancouver at the request of the US on the charge of conspiracy to defraud multiple international institutions. Later, both of them found their arrests are at the heart of a plot where America's judicial power seemed to be intertwined with the business world.
Et ils m'ont arrêté pour faire pression sur le PDG d'Alstom. La menace était que, comme j'avais été arrêté et que j'étais proche de lui, il savait très bien que la prochaine étape, c'était de l'arrêter lui-même. En m'arrêtant, ils ont mis la pression sur lui pour qu'il coopère, et donc pour qu'il accepte de payer une amende qui à l'époque était la plus grosse amende au titre de cette loi payée au Department of Justice, donc plus de 700 millions de dollars. Et ils ont mis la pression sur lui aussi pour qu'il vende 70% de l'entreprise au grand concurrent américain d'Alstom qui était General Electric.
Once a symbol of France's industrial power, Alstom was dismembered by the Americans. The Foreign Corrupt Practice Act was born 1977 as a domestic law to restrict American companies' corrupt practices. But later, the US government found this put US enterprises in a disadvantaged position in overseas competition. Huge efforts were made to make this law international. Any company that has minimal contact with the US comes under the law. This can include using US dollars in contracts and sending an email via an American server. But it looks like the act targets more European companies than American ones. Since it came into effect, of all the 29 companies who paid a penalty of more than $100 million based on the act, 15 are from Europe, with only 6 from the US.
I think the U.S. has weaponized American dollar together with the international payment system known as the SWIFT system. Therefore, any company in the world, if it is doing business using U.S. dollars, actually, it is under the supervision of the American authority.
Countries need to fight corrupt practices. But the asymmetry of the way US treats its own companies and foreign ones raises a valid question. How willing is the US to employ its law as a weapon to achieve its political and economic goals? With Washington's global spy network, how many more companies will fall prey to the American trap? The answers to these questions are even more clear in the case of Huawei. The arrest of Meng was woven into a larger plan to crack down on Huawei, a world leader in 5G technology.
The Trump administration is cracking down on Chinese telecom giant Huawei. Now, this effectively is banning it from doing business with American companies.
Companies will now be banned from providing Huawei with chips made using American parts or American design unless they receive special permission from the Commerce Department.
The weapon the US used this time is its export control regulations. Apparently, if America decides to impose sanctions on Iran, it would not like any other country to do business with the country. Otherwise, it would face secondary sanctions from the US.
Secondary sanction, I think, violates international law. First, it does not have any basis on the jurisdiction of international law. For example, it does not have support by either the territorial jurisdiction or personal jurisdiction. And more importantly, it violates the international rule of non-intervention. The rule or the principle of non-intervention is a very important international principle which is enshrined by UN Charter, according to which every country has a right to conduct affairs without external interference.
The US tried to portray Meng's arrest as a pure legal case, but it was not from the start. According to a report revealed by Canada's spy agency, advanced communication to the Canadian Security Intelligence Service regarding her arrest came from the FBI. Meng's arrest and the issue of Huawei has been quickly used as leverage by the Trump administration in a tit-for-tat trade war that has lasted more than 2 years. By choking Huawei, the US government is weakening Huawei's 5G dominance while making more demands in a China-US trade deal. US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has tried many times to unite different countries to join the Huawei ban frontline, claiming Huawei equipment could be used for espionage by the Chinese government. As always, no evidence has ever been offered.
There are a lot of evidence to show that the United States is using law to safeguard its foreign policies and national interests. Nowadays, U.S. regard China as a competitor or a challenger to U.S. interest. Therefore, it used its long-arm jurisdiction to penalize or to prevent the development of Huawei, which is a high-tech company of China. Although France is an ally of the United States, however, in order to realize its economic interest, the U.S. is not hesitant to use its law to impose sanctions on a French company, although France is an ally.
The curtain has come down on the story of Alstom, but will Huawei become the next Alstom?
Alors j'espère très sincèrement que sur Huawei ça finira pas comme le cas d'Alstom. Je pense que la grosse différence c'est que d'après ce que je vois, mais je ne suis pas dans le secret des dieux, mais au moins vous avez Huawei peut compter sur le support du gouvernement chinois.